There we go. Ooh, sure.
She's knocking shit over.
Sorry.
God.
Didn't go the first time.
Do better.
Do better.
Do better.
Oh man. Hello.
Big ass foot. Okay, sorry.
Big ass foot. I was like, what do you mean?
It's not big ass foot.
Oh my goodness. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Still Podcast with the Big Ass Foot.
Hey, I even know my name now. My name is Big Ass Foot. My name is Bath.
Brandon.
Bath.
Brandon with Sierra.
My name is Brandon.
You had to say Big Ass Foot.
I was a big ass foot. My name is Brandon BAF, Big Ass Foot. Welcome
Wait, what
to
are
my
your
podcast.
initials?
BEB.
Oh, dang it. It's not okay.
No.
I thought I was gonna
we
make a
can't
joke.
take us to that place.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so for today, we are going to dive more into another topic of passion for us. I think we're titling this one, It Matters.
Yeah. Because, I think you talked about it in episode 1, where, like, if you don't have passion for something, then it's not passion. And I think I referenced, like, curiosity is what leads to passion.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for us to kind of, like, you talked about something that was really, really important to you and really, and I was like, well, that matters. And I've had some things that really matter to me, and I feel like that is a part of what is at least our principle of passion.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I got my P's again.
Absolutely.
People principle passion.
So something that I'm very passionate about, something that matters to me, is women in the military. But it's a hot take. By the way, this is a separate episode. So welcome to our new location, which is the USO at Naval Station Great Lakes. On base. So
we're on base, and we talked about in episode 1. I grew up as a naval kid. But I don't think I ever got like that much of a tour in my entire life. Like my dad never, we never did that ever.
What?
Like took a tour. Like I never really
took a tour.
Like
sorry.
his naval career was never shared information.
That's fair. I mean, not everyone likes to talk about it. It's not always like
but your parent
fun or
like.
I don't know. I think that's common.
If and when you have children, would you ever show them around this place?
I mean, yeah. I guess if it made sense, like I wouldn't fly them out here. But if we happen to be in the state, absolutely, I would just be like, oh, you want to see where I work? You want to see like it would just be casual. But I can understand like if you had you taste in your mouth after you left the service, like this could also be a place that you hate.
Oh, okay.
Like it's very much kind of
it's a question. I mean, I've talked. In high school, this was kind of like also a weird hangout spot. For friends of mine, and as a young blooming gay man, it was a perfect fit for me. So
there you go.
But none of that actually happened. I'm not saying that I came here with a whore because that never ever. That never ever happened here.
Stop thinking.
I'm thinking a very good word. Yeah. It wasn't my turn to begin with, so I'm just saying.
That is true. It was your friend's.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to briefly, because like he was saying, he didn't really grow up with much insight on the military in general. And it was Navy? Army? Navy, yes. It was Navy.
This whole real estate was where he was.
So this hot take for me is very near and dear to my heart. Because I witnessed it going wrong so many times.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't do this just to slam women for the sake of slamming women. I do it because, like we said, it matters and it's dangerous. And I'm going to come out right and say it, like the physical standards, among other things, but I'm just going to focus on the physical ones. They're too low. They're like way, way, way too low. And I can't tell you how many times that when I was on the ship, there was a lot of stuff going on where the women would always just step back. And the men would have to do pretty much anything that was considered manual labor. Or if they did help, it took 3 times as many women to do it when just one man could do it. And God forbid something bad happens on a ship, you don't get to pick who lives or dies. What happens if you're the only one?
Yeah.
And you just can't do it. And it's scary to think of it like that, but that's so real. Especially with like what's going on in the world right now.
Yeah.
It's nuts. And as someone who's always been very physically fit, but not excessive. I keep up with it. Like it's a habit.
It's not. I don't think that. That's the one thing I would say with people. That for me, when we talk about it, I'm like, that's your lifestyle. Like I can't never not seeing you being like, oh yeah, I didn't do anything active today. So like for you, say it's a habit. Like that's a lifestyle, but a lifestyle still means that there's balance to it.
Yeah.
It's not like some gym junkie. It's like it's a habit.
But I'm not not a power lifter. I don't bodybuild. I don't do any of that. But I would greatly I would be competitive with what we call the Bravo category males in their physical standards. And I wouldn't be in the top. I wouldn't be outstanding, which would be the technical category name. But I would be about in the middle range. Right. And the standards are almost twice what they require from women at that point.
So when you say requirements, what do you mean?
Let me get into it.
Okay, she's getting into it. This is what I'm curious because I'm is it how many push-ups you can do?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. So just to be clear, because this is on my Navy, hr.navy.mil, and I was just looking at the standards. That's what we were doing at lunch. While the other episodes were uploading, I was let me find this document. Okay. So what we got going on with, let's see, first of all, let me get to my age bracket, which, oh my god, I forgot how old I was. Okay, so.
Do you guys remember in season 1 we tried to guess how old we are?
Oh man, that was fun. Okay, so let me explain. So there's probationary, which is basically, it means you did not pass. You are on FEP, which is, FEP is I forget what it stands for, but.
Exit partner.
No, it's like fat kid camp, basically. So you have to do extra PT all the time, required by the Navy. Doesn't matter where you are, whether you're on a ship, whether you're here. You have to do extra PT to be able to pass the fitness test. And then once you can pass that and your body composition test, then you get off of FEP. It makes sense. It's very logical. They even used to kick you out if you couldn't get off of FEP. You only had X amount of years allowed in the Navy until you got your shit together, and they would just be well, you can't meet the standard, bye. And that I miss that because now we just have a bunch of really obese people in the Navy, and it's not helpful. But so for a female my age,
not gonna lie, on our tour today, I was
I know.
There's a lot of FEP candidates.
There are, because when we came on base, we had, I think this place opens at 11. We had gotten coffee before that, and so I was just doing a little, memory lane tour. I'm this is where I went to school, this is the beach, this is the whatever.
And after telling me what you just told me, I was
yeah, we used to hire tenured people out, just because they couldn't meet the standards. But so, for a female my age, the probationary standard, which would be considered you're on FEP, if you do 13 push-ups or less. Listen to that. 13 push-ups or less. If you can only hold a plank for 59 seconds or less. And I won't get into the alternate cardios because those are a little iffy. But you have to be able to run a 1.5 miles in 16 minutes or less, basically. And that's considered probationary. You're on FEP. You're not performing at the standard that you should be. That's the lowest of the low.
You were doing 5-minute miles, you were telling me.
No, 1.5 miles.
1.5 miles.
For this. It was 5-minute miles. I couldn't do that for a 1.5 miles. But it helped my 1.5 miles pace.
Yeah.
I could do a 1.5 miles in 9:50.
Okay.
But that was when I was 19, 20. But regardless, for a woman my age now, those are the probationary standards. And then let's jump all the way to what we would call an outstanding high, which is what you consider a max. If you get anything above this number, it doesn't count. It's just so high, they don't even really categorize it. It's, you got an outstanding high, congratulations, you're a beast.
You're the creme de la creme of the Navy.
For this age group.
Okay.
Yeah, which is, by the way, it's 25 to 29. Okay. 46 push-ups. Outstanding high. And then forearm plank. 3 minutes. I'm not gonna lie, I like that one. Used to be different. They used to have sit-ups, and the sit-up requirements were stupid. It was you had to be able to get 52 sit-ups or something, I feel like. I might be making that up. You can look up the older history of this document and figure it out, but I remember it being when we had to do sit-ups instead of a plank, because that recently changed 2 years ago. It was still a very ridiculous requirement that was super easy to meet.
Right.
And then this is the thing that gets me. They require a lot for the run, which is 10:17. That's actually really fast for a 1.5 miles. But then they correlate that with 46 push-ups. Those aren't the same.
No.
Not at all.
Not necessarily, no.
It takes so much more energy to really try to run a 10-17
versus 46 push-ups.
Yeah, which granted they average it. So basically, whatever, like if you get outstanding high in one category, excellent in another, and good in another, they're probably gonna put you somewhere between excellent.
So it is graded on like a curve.
A little bit, but still, it makes it really difficult for the run specifically. To get outstanding high, you have to get all 3 categories.
Yeah.
So if you hit it for push-ups and plank, but you miss it on the run, you go to your run category. You know what I mean?
So now just humor me and the viewers. What's the men's version in that age group? Because that age group. Yeah, because I'm now curious. I'm like, okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you ready? Probationary push-ups. 34. Women only do 20 more push-ups, 22 more push-ups for outstanding high than men do for their probational category of not passing. It's not right. I could do 84 push-ups now. I could crank them out on this podcast now with a shoulder injury that I just messed it up this week because we're doing battle rope stuff.
You reactivated it?
Yeah. We're doing battle rope stuff with the kids and doing poles, and I fucked it up. But even right now, with my messed up shoulder, I could do 84 push-ups on the podcast. You know? And that's, 84 is the outstanding high for men at this age. You know what I mean? And then the forearm plank is actually about the same, which is weird. It's 3 minutes 16 seconds instead of 3 minutes and 6 seconds. Yeah, that one's odd. And then, get this, the run for them is 8:55. It's fast as fuck, boy! I get it. That kind of makes sense. I feel like men could do that because they're taller. Also, most women are shorter.
But there's tall women.
Not
ish.
No.
No.
Not much. In the Navy,
so far,
on average, men are much taller than women.
Yeah, when we went to the tour, I was like, lots of little shorties here.
Yeah, exactly.
Lots of shorties.
I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible for a woman to do those standards at all, but, what they expect from the men of that same age category is ridiculous. Granted.
A little bit. And I don't know, and you can help me understand this better, but, where the hell do you think that stems from?
Where does it stem from? Well, that's a really good question. I don't know exactly where these standards come from in particular, but it's
those women. The women's ones seemed like they were thought out and methodical and strategic, but a little sexist and
no, I think they're about the same, and they just scaled it down for women. I think the women's standards need to be higher.
Yeah, because in my mind, the demand.
Yeah.
And the commitment, and I know shit about this, so all I can think of is the psychology around making a choice like this, knowing what the precursors and prerequisites of being an armed
service member.
A service member. It's not a lax thing. It's a serious, physical, demanding. Respected commitment, and then to pussyfoot it around to make it seem like, okay, you're a woman, here's your push-up program, fuck you, dude, give her the rub,
the other thing is
she believes in herself to do it, and now you're just going to try to demean her strength.
You're not even coming at it from the right perspective, unfortunately, because if people thought that way, we wouldn't have a problem. I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
The thing is, we just inherently... women have different biological, physiological barriers compared to men when it comes to maximums and muscle output, and I get that part. But we're capable of way more than what they put in here, and it just allows the military to be weak. And I don't like that because I don't even have enough fingers to count for how many times that I saw women having to give up the jobs on a ship to a man because they physically couldn't do it. And if shit hits the fan, you don't get to do that. It's almost life or death. And
it's kind of an oxymoron because wasn't the point of inclusivity to allow more opportunity, more diversity, more...
Oh, you're going there. I love it.
More ranges of, hey,
if you want to do it, you should be able to go do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. What happens when you lower the standards? Then everyone who thinks they want to do it can do it and is a detriment to the people who are actually towing the line. Yeah.
I mean, I can. It is not nearly in the same space, and
you got a precursor, right? What's up?
But like being an openly gay man now is so not what it used to be back then. Okay. You know, at least for me, you know, gay is so okay, and now we have, you know, non-binary, and we all have all of these precursor terms and prerequisites, and all this understanding. But like now, anybody can be. Not anybody can be, because it sounds really shitty, and I don't want to make it sound that way. But it has changed the dynamic of a community, because now it truly does make my precursors, my predecessors, be like, it was not a phase, but some of y'all now, I know it's a phase.
Right.
You are 9, or you are 12, or you are 6.
This is backing up to something. It matters to you.
Yeah, and I'm like, wait a minute. Right. Because, and then we let it all okay, and then we have these men and women who are damaging their families, damaging other women's and men's lives, because they think that now it's all open and things like that. You're giving your wife HIV, you're da-da-da, all this other shit. And now it was happening way before it, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But now it's all, like we said, once everybody can come in and you lower your standard, da-da-da-da.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Okay.
So that's just where my brain went, to try to kind of come to a relation with it. But, you know, there's all kinds of other things. I feel like the drag community, you think you can do it, but again, then you see these busted ass queens going like, okay, poor sweetie. Yeah. Like some of these women and some of these performers, this is like, they put in the work. And the standard and the bar, you know, like you know, one of my good friends, Spencer, is an amazing performer drag queen, and I'm like, put in the work, like, you know. Yep. Everybody has their apprenticeship, and everyone has that beginning, like, ooh, girl, you rough. But, you know, you get to see, but they have the community of the commanders that just, like, take them in, and they learn. And
they have the moms.
Yeah. And but, like, then there's the other people who are just in there with hot glue and fabric, and you're like, girl, sweetie. But you want the respect and the command of the room compared to the people that have been literally, you know.
Yeah.
Come on now. So I feel like,
very much the same.
I feel like, but I feel like in your space, I'm like, well, it is life or death, and that's a scary thing to think about.
Yeah, like I remember there were times because I did a stint in engineering when I was on the ship. My actual job was to work with the weapon systems, one in particular. But then stuff happens. You go and you be TAD to other divisions. It's common, and then so I worked for ER09. And that's basically everything is portable firefighting equipment that you can pick up and carry around and not fixed and built into the ship. So, i.e. fire extinguishers, heavy AF, because they're like big old 40-pound, like commercial giant ones. They're not like little, like, you know. So having like those, they all have maintenance that has to be done on them, and you gotta haul them in and out of the ship when they expire, and you gotta get them out of the engine rooms, and doing that when it's like fall rain, it's 120 degrees outside, and the engine rooms are up there too, and you're going up 4 or 5 flights of stairs carrying this stuff up and down, and you can't dent it, drop it. Like, it's scary because I mean it's really steep too. I say stairs, it's like a ladder.
Yeah.
Doing all that, not to mention, oh my god, like maintaining fire stations, having to work with the hose and like all of that stuff. God, what else? Working with air conditioning units and having to do, like, maybe it's a little boring, but like it's this manual labor type stuff that's someone's everyday job. I watched my division and I watched who did what, and the women always wanted to just do, like, we called it their Neil's lightings checks, which is a push. It's literally you push a button on the side of the light to see if it flickers to an alternate bulb and then back. All the women wanted that. All the men got stuck with all the hard shit. And the women would just go, when I had to assign maintenance, because that was my job, because it's all divvied up by however many people you got in the work center. And I would go, okay, we've got this many door checks. Door checks are hard work. We got this many air conditioning checks, this many whatever. And the women would just, you got like 20 needles over there. I'll do all 20 needles. Can I have that? You know what I mean? And it was just such a disgusting attitude to have. Like, these standards enabled the women to back away from the work. and the Navy wasn't doing anything about it.
Okay.
Isn't doing anything about it.
And okay, and that's okay because part of it, because as I was hearing, I was like, okay, is it because now they just have accepted it? But now, what would happen if a woman did say, "No, I'll take the fire extinguishers. I got it."
A guy would go with her most of the time just to make sure that she didn't fucking fall or something like that, or be. Most of the time, if there was a woman who wanted to do that, a guy would team up and split it with her. Half of the time, I think it was just because to make sure she was going to be okay.
Yeah.
You know? Because I'm not going to lie, there were a couple times I tried to carry 2 fire extinguishers down the ladder, and I almost fell my ass all the way down those 12 steps. And it's scary. And those things are explosive. If you drop them, if you dunk them, they will explode.
Yeah.
You know? And that's, in an engine room, that's like millions of dollars. You don't want to do that.
And I feel like, and just in my, civilian brain, I'm like, that could happen to any fucking body, not just a woman. So I feel like the fact that gender is being used, was being as an entitlement or a disadvantage. No, what about, I remember I told with the guy that when I was in Texas and I had an Uber driver who was a Navy guy, he was like this tall.
Oh yeah. Well,
like he was like a shorty.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you're telling me that this little shorty has a lot more mental strength, muscle maximum capacity than you, who I know I take to a bar fight.
Well, my thing is, like, women can do this stuff. Yeah. I'm not saying they can't. But the Navy is not weeding them out because these are the standards that get used to select them to let them in. Mm. And they don't change unless you're going to go to special warfare. That's different. That's like a whole different lineage with different PRT standards. But
so do you feel like, it's funny because in my head, I think of like the global, and I think of the bigotry that happens in the military.
Yeah.
I think of all the you can't change a civilization overnight. You cannot change a society overnight. Right. But the people that are still up here still have some of that stupid, rigid, sexist thinking. But there are too many voices saying, if you don't get with the fucking program, we're going to come for you and you will never exist again. We'll change the entire system.
Are you asking me, like, how could it change? How could it be better?
It's more like, my question is that, are the certain things that are, I guess, has a level of the Navy or any armed force changed the facility of practice to allow
more women?
Yeah,
over the
so that way, as we get, here's originally what was floor 1 is now the basement. So the basement is now where everybody thinks they're on floor 1. I'm like, no, but we had to make this basement for you. But we're not calling it floor 1 anymore. You think it's floor 1, but it's the basement. And the basement does not have the same requirements as you want to get to floor 1. And we make it so difficult for you to see that it's floor 1 and floor 2, like you just said. The more intense job, like if you want to go on harder warfare and things like that, then you gotta step up to the plate. But we created a level to where you don't step up to the plate, but you still be in the military.
Well, okay. Sure, I understand that. That's fine if you want to work a desk job. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, on a ship, even someone who works a desk job, if something happens, your desk job is irrelevant, and you have to do what's required.
Yeah.
Everyone in the Navy is a firefighter, first and foremost, and that's mostly why I came up with the portable fire extinguishing stuff. Mm-hmm. Like that. If something happens, even if it's just a catastrophe on the ship, like you have something that goes wrong, you have something explode, an engine goes down, the shaft has a problem, like. Whatever you were slated to do in the military goes to hell, and you fight that because there's no one coming to save you. It's just you and whatever boat you're on.
Yeah.
And it's got explosives on it, Like there's ammunition on it, and if you have a catastrophe in one area and it spreads, especially if it's fire, you have to.
Yeah.
It's only you and the crew. No one's coming to save you. The Coast Guard doesn't come help you out.
There's that 911.
No, you are 911. Like it's just you, and people will avoid it.
But if you're 911, who's thinking you're a 611 or a 311? Huh? If you're a 311 mentality when you know you're just 911, so 311 is information or
Oh yeah.
Okay. You start thinking that your only information is that's. I think it's in any career. It's that's not my job, bitch.
But that's what it feels like.
Yeah, and I'm
yeah.
Overview, the collective. I don't care whose jobs it is. The goal is this, and there's no one coming to save us. So, right now, it's just you and me. So,
and that's what happens when you lower the standards. Is that mindset is allowed to start to breed. So,
do you think it's environment to environment? Were you ever exposed to other ships, situations, teams, or clusters of other military personnel where maybe under their leadership it was different?
Was it
in all?
I would say maybe the proportion of it was it might have been a little bit different. Maybe it was less in some and more than others, but it always existed.
Okay.
There was probably at least one. Even in the best circumstances, there was probably at least one person
who was like, I'm just gonna hide myself over here.
Like I said, maybe whether it's the majority or a small minority, it did exist.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's just infiltrated. And I understand wanting to level the workforce and allow women to go wherever they please, but I also have another hot take. I don't think women really belong in the military because it's just.
Let's dive into that one.
Yeah, as someone who was there, not everyone cuts it. And I'm not saying I was perfect either. There were definitely limitations that scared me. And like there was I don't want to say shame because I can't necessarily change my height per se. Mm-hmm. But like there was definitely a feeling of inadequacy when I was like, I got assigned a job and I just know I can't do it by myself. But the person to my left, 2 doors down, probably could. Like it's rough. It's a humbling place to be in, you know?
I do, but I guess I'm coming at it from 2 different angles because, like, I again, civilian thought process. I still go back to the one true thing. It's like, it at no point, at least since we're not at war and things like that, it's a choice.
Yeah.
Right. And
if it's a choice, why don't they draft women?
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Why don't they draft women? True. If it
was really equal, they would draft women, and True. No one in their right mind would argue that women should be drafted. And if they were, they're delusional.
And then I feel like there's a social and societal construct and a kind of thought process on that because like you kill all the women, who's going to procreate?
Oh, well, that too. Yeah, that's a big one actually.
It's almost like I'm thinking super like basically like. You kill women. Women have the power to procreate. We have not really mastered this whole like matrix genetic hybrid of test tube babies and growing in them in little.
Oh, okay, sure.
That.
Yeah. All right. Like that's the answer.
The female essence is mm-hmm. required for our civilization, society, lifestyles, whatever, mm-hmm. biology to keep growing. So, in essence of war and things like that, I almost want to say men are more disposable than women, mm-hmm. which is why you may not see that equality happen because there's a bigger picture, there's a bigger priority, there's a bigger essence behind.
Yeah. And I think it's okay that women don't get drafted. Don't get that backwards. Like I don't think that it's the right place. And it's tricky because I was in the military, right? But before, when I was a kid, I was very pro women in the military. Before I was in it, I had that mindset. And I was very much like equal opportunity, like let's get in there. But at the same time, I wasn't of very low standards either. Like I was always hyper competitive with the men.
Right. And the other thing too is like, but here's the thing. You just said it. Equal opportunity, mm-hmm. which means equal accountabilities, equal recommendations.
And I pulled my weight.
And equal... reciprocities and challenges mm-hmm. because it is supposed to be a space where there is no one coming to save you.
Yeah.
And it goes to me thinking, if my ship is on fire, am I going to trust my Sierra to come be able to save my ass, carry my ass? Like, who is mm-hmm. she? Can I not trust her because I think trust is different. But believe that I know that she's got the strength and stamina to be there in the trenches with me without me thinking I gotta be there for her.
Now, match that thought process, thinking from it from the physical side, mm-hmm. the strength, and then add the attitude of avoidance and mm-hmm. not wanting to I saw that so much, even in like some of the hardest working, like the undesignated seamen who would work on the exterior of the ship. They were the ones who controlled the anchor of all things, and all anything outside the ship. It pretty much was theirs. Any helicopter operations, like they did hard fucking work, dude.
And then it was just them.
And a lot of them were like these tiny little women that didn't want to work, and they would futz around and go do the easiest thing they could, while the guys did all the really difficult stuff. and they'd hang out in the bosun locker, and like I saw this on multiple occasions, not just my ship. You know?
Was there ever any moments where they were like restricted and permitted, like, no, we got this, or was like, were they welcomed? Because that's my other question too. Is like, were you ever dismissed because you're a woman, or were they like, no, come on, like, totally get in here and have us?
No, the men were constantly like, hey, will you get off your phone and like, can we we have to do this before we can leave today. Like we need help, and they would just be like. Like I saw that so many times.
So okay, because in my head, like when
it's hard to believe, right?
It a little bit is because when I hear you talk about the military and I hear you talk about your story and I hear all of this, I feel like there's a passion in it. But then I had to go back into my archive of like what I experienced when I was younger in high school and things like that. And meeting other naval men, and some of them were in it, and other of them were just like, I need shelter.
Yeah,
I was gonna be homeless.
Yeah,
I'm not going back to my broken home or my fucked up life or whatever like that. So I'm gonna go in the military.
And I respect that. That's fine, but pull your weight.
But I think ultimately, right there, I think why it matters to you is like y'all don't pull your weight. And y'all make it look bad for women like you.
Yeah,
You make it look bad for women who are out there being like, no, I'm gonna go fight for my country, and I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna get money, and I'm gonna be like, G.I. Jane, be like, suck my dick, like
right.
I feel like I think that's where I had to kind of get to that place because when we were talking about it before we got on the air, I was like, I want to make sure I'm recognizing what the issue is because I'm like, I would never think that if I met you and you were trying to sell me in the military, I'm like, okay, maybe I should sign up. Because when my dad tried to do it, I was like, fuck all of that. Like, nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Well, here's the thing. Like, there's no shame in saying it's not for everyone.
It's really not. But that's for anything.
That's true. Well, this feminist idea that women need to be everywhere is just wrong.
Well,
that's what I think it is.
That's almost like, the funny thing is this. It's almost like why you see more male fashion designers for women's wear and then more women's designers in menswear.
That blows my mind.
Yeah. You see more.
I didn't know that.
Oh, what? Yeah. You see, like, not a lot of women design women's clothes.
No wonder all the guys have the good pockets because we always want pockets because we have to carry persons.
I mean, the high heel shoe was made for men.
Well, I remember that. Yeah.
So like,
that's interesting.
I'm gonna switch because if I remember my very very my fashion education, like the women's apparel did not change for 200 years.
Yeah.
Like you guys have the same fucking boring ass garment for like literally.
Well, I guess I knew that men were more in charge of the women's side of fashion as far as what they wore and how they were designed. Yeah. I did not realize that the opposite was also true.
Even now, like you rarely see, you see the bridge. Like when you learn fashion, you want to learn both because tailoring, foundational, whatever like that. But like to like, and I'm in a different space as far as like the creative design world. But like when I was learning and really investing in fashion, there's a lot more male designers for women's wear.
That's interesting.
Halston, women's wear.
Why do you think that is?
Because I feel like, and I say this as a stylist, I say this as a person who's been in this industry and people, women don't get along with women.
That's another. Okay, we'll get back to that.
Like women have a hard time.
Yeah.
I feel like women in that kind of creative space, it's like, and think about it this way: you won't be prettier than me.
No, we can't get out of our own way. I know.
So, and then the other thing too is when it comes to apparel, and I've just seen this 1,000 times. Women will only see the faults in their bodies and the garment, and not the overall essence of what it's trying to do.
I can totally see that. That makes sense.
Like I feel like when a woman looks at herself in the mirror, she's going right on the out. She's looking right in the middle. She's looking at her belly, her bust, her butt, And I'm like, can you look at the contour lines of that garment? Is that hugging? Is that giving you the hips you want? Because, and if you look at men, how men look at themselves in the mirror, they don't notice their belly hanging out. They don't know that have the crack of their asses falling out. They don't know that, and that's why I'm like, when like That's why when you look at how men see themselves in a mirror and women see themselves in a mirror, it's the exact polar opposite. So why not have a man design a woman's wear? Because she don't see herself.
That's true. So I'm not against it. It was more like I didn't realize that women were designing more of men's clothes. I had no idea. That surprised me.
Yeah, which is why now we see more. But here's the part that I love: the fact that our generation or society around apparel and fashion, especially for me, at least in my opinion, and I think the fact that the male masculinity terminology, now that we have all of our pronouns and openness and non-conformity, I feel like the female designer for menswear has a lot more to it be more expressive. I mean, for a while after the Industrial Revolution and after just like we learned to just do copy and paste fashion where it was like a suit's a suit, just size it, tailoring became a thing. Yeah. The creativity around clothing really stopped. It just turned into small elements, and then men just had pant, shirt, jacket, hat. Pant, shirt, jacket, hat. Yeah. You know, we really. Then women got the avant-garde, and then the creativity switched, and then women had a much more flair and things like that. It used to drive me nuts when I would look at dress codes. Like, this woman has 9 fucking outfits to wear in her dress code, and I only have like this.
Yeah.
Cool. So happy. Like, if I wore this to work, they're like, man, you know, dress code. Like, a pants, a top, and a jacket. Like, it's weird. But, you know.
Right.
Either way. But, you know, I feel like, as you said, it's like, in your world, I'm like, wait, that's shitty. And then I'm like, but I can see it because, you know, some people just can't get the fuck out of their own shit and be like, if you, like, this is bigger than you.
Mm-hmm. Well, so another thing that boggles me is they've been talking about this for years. Ever since women were allowed into the military, I feel like there were extreme ends of the spectrum that were like, oh, what about an all-women command? And it's like, are you kidding me? Do you think that would run for 2 seconds without falling straight down to the bottom of the ocean? Like, what if we're all going to sync up on our cycles, and we're all going to be batshit crazy for an entire week, and then we'll go do something with the nuclear that we shouldn't? Like, you know what I mean? Maybe not literally, but it's... Ladies,
do you, I mean,
well, that's a really hot take. Most people don't agree with that. Well, but I see it.
But I'm gonna join you in the pit here and be like, well, what about the gays in the military? What about the female? So let's go there. Like, okay. You know, what about it? You because I'm sorry, queens are the gay people in general. Gay, because I'm gay too. I feel like we too sometimes cannot get the wrong fucking way because I remember dealing with this in my own fucking career. You get another gay man with another gay man in the same role and watch them fucking caddy it out. Like, my chair's got more person than bitch if you don't get out of this. Like, it gets so crazy. It's almost like we're here for a bigger role, which is why for me, when we talk about episode 1, I'm like, I thrive on just making sure people know that they matter and feel like if I can help you get to your next level, I don't give a shit about your tiara. Mm-hmm. Do you want to go on the stage? Cool. Because I don't need the stage. Mm-hmm. You know, like, I've made peace with the stage of my own world.
Not everyone does. Even straight people do that.
But I would say 80% of the gay community is like, I need to make sure my tiara is shiny bright. I'm like, well, if that has anything to do with you being on stage to success, great. But if it has a stage to your own stipulations of how you think your life needs to be seen, ew.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, we did have a few on my ship. They were very intelligent. That was the really positive note. I had an OS friend of mine who was gay, and he was really good at what he did. He was a great operator. He was a great, he had a couple specialties in that space that Houston watching, and he was good at his job. You know, I don't know about his personal life. I don't know about his division life because that's different. When you see someone on watch, you only see about this much of them. So there could be division drama that you don't know about. Like, division being, like, your work center of people.
Yeah, like your cluster, basically. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. And so, maybe your work ethic's not great, but when you're on watch, you know how to do your job. That's what I saw. I saw that they were very, very, very intelligent and very capable. I'm not gonna lie, there was definitely some stipulations about work. Just being like, maybe, especially when here's the other thing. You start factoring in rank. And the higher up you go, the less of that manual labor that you do. Factor that into the female standards for physicality plus an attitude, plus rank.
Well, now, is it easier for women to get into the higher ranks for the men then?
Not necessarily. That's based strictly on testing scores.
Okay.
So, I mean, so it's like you basically have to, so you have a test, and then only a certain percentage of those people pass based off of how many questions you got right.
Okay.
And a certain percentage of the people that passed, only a small percentage get advanced, and it's based off of quotas that have to get met.
We've talked about some of that off the air where you're like, that's not, sometimes some of it's a little. Did we talk about how it's like a broken system?
Oh well, okay. Sometimes the quotas are so small because you only need so many jobs of this one thing in the Navy,
right?
And there's someone that's occupying a top position, which means no one else can come up until they get out or die.
Yeah.
Get out or die. That's real. Because not everyone retires from the Navy after 20 years. Some people stay in for 25, 30, 35. Imagine. And for whatever reason, maybe they don't move up anywhere else. So,
it's a lottery.
Kind of. Well, if you can get good at doing well on the test and be in that high, like 90th, 95th percentile, which is actually, some of them you have to be like 100%. I'm not going to lie. It's really bad for some rankings. But if you can do that, that's great. But it's tricky. However, once you do make rank, you're kind of just set. And unless you mess up, you don't get it taken away. So you can just chill at one rank for 5 to 10 years, and they don't kick you out for that anymore. No. There used to be a thing where if you were one rank for a long time, you didn't go anywhere, you didn't do anything, they kick you out.
So it matters. So I think the essence of what we're like in this discussion and this whole element of why in certain things of passion, where certain things matter to kind of make it stay as a passion, because I feel like also saying what happens when it stops, when it gets worse, then does it no longer become a passion of yours?
What do you mean? Say that?
So, let's say, because in my head, I want to cycle this through and be like, okay, it matters for me. It's like, I'm so passionate about it, but only passion for change.
Oh, right. Okay. Well,
what happens what happens when you're like, it's just not like, this is just a shitty song?
It's rough because there's no way in hell that an outsider, and I say outsider because I'm not in anymore, a vet at that, but not a retired vet even. Like I left, but can't do anything. So I can have passion all I want, but I can't actually do anything because the changes have to get made at such a high level. It would take a lot. Like I'd have to make a whole organization, and so I can be passionate in my little circle, and that's about it. And that's the frustrating part,
Right.
I wouldn't even know where to begin if I was going to try to. Aside from bring awareness to it, I really have no clue how to even. It's such a big animal.
I mean, but I feel like every revolution started with one.
That's true. Yeah.
Every change, every person, every one person that was like, I may stand alone on this, but eventually someone's gonna hear me. Just like our podcast.
Well, I'll tell you what. If any of you know some bigwig, I'm going to say specifically Navy because I'm sure the standards are similar in other branches, but I was in the Navy. So.
And let her know. Is it the same? I don't think you'd be breaking some rules.
No.
So, share your truths about. Do you guys all feel the same way? And especially in this space, I'm a civilian, so I will never understand. Mm-hmm. And also, and even in my space, do we feel the things that sometimes in the communities and the services and the societal circles that we are put in, whether they're professional, personal, or military,
right?
It matters to us all to see how we generationally move things forward.
Right.
And in this case, I think this is what helps us move up. This doesn't help us move forward.
It doesn't. It puts awareness out that there is a problem.
Yeah.
I think the other problem is people don't want to admit it. They don't want to actually get into it. So I feel like I'm doing a little bit of the part by saying what's true.
Yeah.
And that's half the battle because you have to be able to admit what's going on.
Yeah, and not only that, admit what's going wrong, but admit the parts that hurt about it. The thing, you blatantly, as a woman, sometimes I think some women need to be in the military.
Nope, not at all.
You know, just because you're just and I'm
just because you can doesn't mean you should, and that's okay.
Right, and I feel like certain actresses, I feel like the credibility around the creativity and passion around certain things, like wanting to be in the military, like being an artist, like any type of thing. I love the sound of piano. Am I gonna learn how to play the piano? Should I learn how? If I suck at it, I'm not gonna sit there and be like just some things. I'm like, I love the sound, but I'm just not meant. I don't think I'm meant to be a piano player.
Yeah.
Or
that's fair.
You know, but there are people out there who are like, will sit there and bang out the most horrific keys that life has ever heard.
Choose a different passion.
It was like, yeah, this ain't for you.
Yeah.
Like, and I've had to deal with that in my career. It's like, this is just not for you. I'm gonna promote you back to customer. Like, you know, like you can't do like. It's not that you don't have the drive. It's just not a good fit, and that is okay. And I feel like in your world, my world, I think people need to be more like saying it's okay for you. It's so okay.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
You're not a weak-minded failure. You're no longer an asset to yourself or your society or your community because this one avenue that you seem to feel so connected to, it just isn't it, and that's okay. But like, and that's how I think. As we get further in the season, because we're going to talk about some of the tightrope of passions, but I feel like this is one of those things. I mean, like, yeah.
Well, I think something else too is people use multiple reasons to go into the military, just like you were saying, and sometimes I feel like it's just misguided. There's other better ways that you can achieve those goals rather than using the military as a stepping stone. Because the people who use the military as a stepping stone aren't the ones that do it the most benefit. And they're always the ones that end up making the good people quit, unfortunately. I saw that a lot.
We talked about that. We talked a little bit about that last season, too, when we talked about the degree service.
But it's like, you need to understand, like, so if you have a goal, really figure out, like, okay, what am I using to complete this goal? And maybe it's driven by something that you want to do, that you're passionate about. And this was the avenue you chose, but, like...
But why does it matter?
Well, but yeah, like, what you need to understand the weight of what you're doing.
Yeah. I feel like fully comprehend when it comes to certain. Actually, no. When it comes to all things.
Yeah.
You know, like I've had to learn that cause and effect, cause and consequence. Like they're legitimate rhythms. Whether it's small, medium, or large, they all follow the same equation and thought. And I think the other thing too is minimalizing that, like. Non-negotiable. Cause is going to have an effect.
Oh, yeah.
No matter what you want us to do, whatever, how many things you want to put in front of it, it's so-and-so, or it was da-da-da, or blah-blah, like, it's still...
Yeah. You have to be able to see for what it is. You can't just... Yeah.
People have a hard time...
With the truth.
I have a hard time with the truth sometimes. I mean... I've learned in certain departments and dimensions of my life, I've had to be okay with the truth. Like, okay, I can own that.
Yeah.
Other parts, like, as you know, when I'm going through, it's a very difficult, angry horse pill to even swallow.
Right.
But sometimes I even also have to realize that sometimes it's not a pill that you have to swallow. It is just that grass is green, and it's never going to be another color, so stop thinking it's sand. It's not.
No, okay.
Like, it's like, no, that's just the way it is, deal. If you don't like it, you
figure out a way around, a way over, a different
right. You can, and I feel like sometimes passion, or in that direction of it, Matt does not redirect people around it.
Right.
Like you love green grass, but your ass is allergic. So what are you doing?
Right.
You know
well, I mean? And that wraps in back to like what are you gonna do about it? Like we were saying, if anybody does know how to do something about it, I think anything I would be interested in having the standards raised if we're not going to meet the whole no women in the military, even though I think that would be a much better design, even after how long we fought for the equality part of it. If we could at least raise the standards, then we might be better off, because it'll filter out the ones who can or they can't or shouldn't hang with us. So if anyone knows how to do that, feel free to comment below.
I mean, leave it. I feel like I want to know what everyone's thinking around this whole thought process.
Oh yeah.
And I want to preface, like, I don't think this is about gender. I think it's about commitment, loyalty, and sacrifice to the overall greater good of what it means to be in the military, what it means to take on a responsibility
outside yourself.
Yeah, and what it means to take on a passion, a concentration, a focus, that a discipline. A discipline.
Yeah.
And once that discipline gives you its departments, like, you know.
Okay.
There I go again with that.
I didn't quite follow that one.
Like you know, disciplines, like, you know, I mean, as I've learned in certain forms of discipline, like, you know, your emotional department, your physical department, your external department.
Oh, okay.
Like, you know, how those all relate to how you support the discipline of that behavior, of that passion. You know, being in the military, for how I'm understanding it, you got to be disciplined to not eat shit and take care of your body. You got to be disciplined to, you know, pull your weight and respect your fellow cluster. Have a work ethic.
Think outside of yourself. Be able to lead others. Like, dude, there's so demanding.
So those are the departments. I'm like, if you can't align your disciplines within those departments, then you're not
in the wrong store.
Right. You're in the wrong store. Way to go, metaphor. So I talk in metaphors. I don't know if you guys know this, but and we've said this many times. Sierra and I are still blooming new friends.
Yeah.
And it took, like, one of my best friends, who's like a big sister to me, took us like 20 years of metaphor talking for us to be able to have very heavy, intense conversations just using metaphors.
Which I don't know how you do that.
We did it last night. Like, we literally.
Oh, I bet you just went back and forth, and it was just pig Latin between you two.
Yeah, and like we literally been able to have like full-on conversations about somebody in front of us in metaphor.
Oh man.
And yeah.
This is sneaky.
It's only because sometimes it is funny. It's like having a foreign language.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, go to the nail salon and someone's like, you know, they're talking about you.
Yeah.
But you can't know what they're talking about. They could be saying that you have beautiful hair and eyes and things like that.
But you don't know.
But you don't know.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it feels. But, you know, Sierra, she just said, like, get out of the store. So she's getting it. I love it. But this is the stuff that we love, that we talk about in our seasons. But, you know, I think for me, I'm in the same boat as far as, you know, things like that matter to me. It's just kind of like, look, like, ultimately, once I show a part of my appreciation or passion around
check this all out. Sorry.
The
big old group having a meeting there. Y'all can't see, but we got these like big old glass windows, glass door, and there was a big old meeting with a bunch of chiefs and officers, and they're like, "What do those guys do? Just looking at our windows."
Oh, I didn't see it.
They've been checking us out like the entire time they've been there, and I'm just like, okay.
Oh yeah, I had no idea that they were just giving us the rub.
Oh yeah,
I can't see them, which is good.
Yeah, you'd be so distracted.
I'd be so distracted because I don't fit in here. Cause I'm a civilian. So.
You think I fit in here? Can you see my hair?
Okay. Did you see the hair that we want?
Okay. That's true. Dang, that's true. Actually, I don't know. Well. No offense. They can get away with it. I could not.
I clearly look like a civilian. She does not. You still look like you could come in and just pick up a gun and be like,
probably could. Pew pew. Pew pew.
But no,
what were you saying? I forgot.
I totally lost my train of thought. But I feel like back to the overall thought process of like it matters and what we talked about as far as passion and what types of passion or what activates or what facilitates, what gives it energy, you know? Mm-hmm. And I feel like, you know, I think that sometimes that what we just forget is that I think passion is a living, breathing moment in time, and the energy that we give it is the energy that it thrives in. Mm-hmm. And, you know, like I said, like, you know, it's just one of those things. I'm like, if only these people could just recognize that there's a power in your placement that you are just
not taking advantage of it all.
Yeah. Or you're taking the wrong advantage of it.
Yeah, that's
you're literally just you wanna.
Something else that I realized just now, I was like, because I'm not gonna lie, you checked me a little bit, and I was like, damn, I was on the verge of like being passionate and just complaining, but so I have a strong opinion on this topic, and I think until there was a way for me to move through that and like do something with it, be productive with it, I think I should class it down to an opinion rather than a passion. Yeah, I mean, I feel strongly about it, but without, you can only spin your wheels so many times, you know? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's almost like, so, it's funny because I'm probably going to call her out, but my sister literally, before I left to go do the convention, we had this conversation, and we just kind of re-clarified the intent of what the words were and how I defined them and how she defined them and how I can actually receive them now differently. Mm-hmm. But originally, I was like, well, I have the podcast and I have the agency, and then I was trying to build Lane Ellis and I had my clothing, blah, 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 you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And she said, you're throwing a lot of stuff at the wall.
Yeah.
And I was like, and then I had this big metaphor joke of like, I'm making poisonous pasta, obviously, and I come to find out that was not what she was saying. She's like, and because I had then found these inspirative moments on social media and just in my books I've been reading, and they were like, who the fuck, like, people are going to look at what you're doing and call you crazy because they've never done it before. So, of course, it's crazy to them. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
So I had all these other outside influences to be like, I'm not nuts. Like, I'm not throwing a bunch of shit up against the wall. I'm actually hoping for some foundational creation behind my thought process. But what she was then saying, and,
there's merit in both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's merit in both. But, it's always a catch-22 about those moments of my passion coming out and making it look like it's paralyzing my perception or paralyzing my progress for me to move forward. And I'm like,
well, because you're throwing it at the wall and hoping that one of them sticks so that you can get after it. Because the stuff that doesn't it's gonna, well, you have to deal with that. But to someone else, it just looks like, wow, like you know what I mean?
I'm like.
You do have a goal.
Yeah, I have a goal in mind. It's just like, I'm not doing it one at a time. And I've looked at, I'm trying not to be so predictive. But yeah, this is the kind of stuff, this is one of the things where I was like, yeah, this also matters. Like, it matters when I constantly have to hear, like, you're doing too much. Says who? In my head.
Right.
It's like, says who?
I guess as long as it's stuff that you really want to do, which I know you do. And that's not the problem. You're trying to figure out a means to make those things work, and it's difficult. And you're at an interim right now, and it's tricky. You have to figure out something. Well, the other idea is to just abandon it.
And that's just as messy. I feel like, and that's, I guess, honestly, I feel like that's what I'm hearing. It's just like, just abandon it. I'm like, yeah.
And do what exactly? Yeah. And do what? Like, you, especially with your. No offense, but like, you're very specialized. It would be difficult to branch off into other things without completely starting over and trying to find a whole new career track path. Like, it would be difficult.
I'm so glad that in these moments, and I know we're on camera, but like, I'm not internally crazy when I have to be like, because I'm not going to burst, because I've been so close to just like, losing my shit about it. I mean, like, well, what the, like, all right, bright ideas, like,
where's the rest of it?
You want to spit one at me? Because, like, I keep hearing all this, switch it up, and I'm like, well, fuck you, I just, like, I got you. I got you. So, it's interesting, but that's the power of why certain things in our lives matters. You just saw me get really passionate.
Oh yeah, a little bit. It was like a little sneaky peek.
I almost forgot where I was. I'm so sorry, guys. But yeah. That's just I feel like that's. I think that's a good one. But I feel like that's where we're at, and I wanted you to share about this whole military thing because
it goes deeper and wider. But
it goes deeper and wider.
Like I said, I think I need to tone it back and dial it back to just an opinion.
Until you guys reach out to her and create your own revolution behind it.
Well,
I think so.
Well, I think but then it would be warranted, right?
I mean, but I think it's voices. Like, maybe these voices need like, find your voice, find your opinion, maybe find your passion on this platform, and just share that maybe Sierra is not in the space of it being just an opinion,
right?
And not alone. It's actually a passion of hers, and. She may not, she's just one, but there's probably one of many of you guys who have this whole feeling. Women, gay, straight, black, white, don't give a shit. Like,
I don't know. Yeah.
I feel like if there's anything in this world that we all can accept and gravitate towards is realizing that nothing has to stay as it was. And accountability does not have to be a crumbling of people's courage, strength, and anything else like that. It just says this type of arena is a different feel.
We just need to improve here.
Yeah, and it has nothing to do with the dreams and sacrifices and hopes from anybody else who wants to be in this space. But just know that this space, that's all I have a perfect example.
Go for it.
You want to be in the club? Here are the club rules.
Yeah, just follow the rules. That's it.
If you can't do the rules, you can't be in the club.
That's literally it. And we just, the problem is we need better rules.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Someone needs to redraw up the rules.
Yeah, because the club sucks.
Yeah.
Club's too open.
Yeah. Club's
too open.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I need a tier of your club tier number one.
We need a layered Patreon.
I need some of you guys to go to your OnlyFans. I don't
know. No. Oh my goodness.
That was so not part of the thought process. But yeah, I feel like that's a good place to go.
Yeah. What do you think we're going to talk about next? There's a couple places we could... I feel like we could very easily devolve down what happens if it turns into obsession, or we could go down the pride rabbit hole, which is the opposite. Obsession.
I feel like
pride.
Obsession, because pride,
obsession?
Which is one of these are the other episode topics that we wanted to talk about, and I think what we want to bring to you guys next is I want to talk about obsession.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, I feel like so. I think tune into us
for the next episode.
Where we're going to talk really in depthly about
when passion goes wrong,
or how we have been affected by passion going wrong.
All in one.
Yeah, I feel like that's gonna be a good one. So stay tuned. We'll
stay tuned. Next week or so, we'll come out with that one.
Yeah. So I'm Brandon from Still, and this is
Sierra from Still, and follow us on Still Podcast on YouTube and Insta and Facebook and
Podbean and
wherever you get your podcasts.
Wherever you listen and watch.
Yeah.
Like and subscribe. Bye.